All right, guys, we're back. We're here to do Married at First Sight. Season 18, Where Are They Now? It's Vow or Never. So, I'm not going to talk about the whole episode. I loaded it, so I encourage you guys to go down there, check it out. Where I will start is that Michelle told a lie. She said, and I'm going to go ahead and clip that. I'll do a flashback, of that now that I'm thinking about it. She said that she knew she had done wrong and that she had already apologized to David. But then, when you actually go and look at when she apologized, that's not the conversation that you would have if you've already apologized to somebody. She This is the way I'm assuming and understanding it would go. I know I talked to you earlier about, my behavior. I just wanted to make sure that I came back to let you know. I apologize again. If, I didn't make myself clear, I want to let you know that blah, 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 blah. She went on as it was an initial. I realized that I was wrong, and now I want to come and apologize. She's not doing another take. Okay? So for all of the Michelle fans that are out there, y'all just refuse to hold this woman accountable. I've held David accountable. I've held Madison accountable. And I'm holding Michelle accountable. That's something that they don't want to do. They didn't want to accept David's, or Madison's apology. And you know what? I'm going to, do something here because this actually just hit me today. So they are upset because they think that Madison hasn't apologized. I guess can't remember actually if she actually said the words that I'm sorry. I'm assuming that she has, but I feel like, she has apologized. Maybe they think that she hasn't given one to Michelle. I don't know. But what I do know is that Madison and Michelle both abused their husbands. So, if I were Madison, do I really owe Michelle an apology? When you did the same thing that I did? I don't know. I would actually have to take time to think about that. Could she apologize for omitting? Because, they call omission of a lie too. So because she didn't admit that she had feelings for David, she omitted information to Michelle. So would she need to apologize for that? I don't know. Did she actually, like I said, say, I'm sorry? I have to actually go back and look at that because I can't definitively say. Nonetheless, Michelle abused David. If she hadn't abused that man, she wouldn't have nothing to apologize for. David abused Michelle when he sat there and he gaslit her into trying to believe that it was his cousin and he was talking about food, and then turn around and who was it? I forget Tiffany. I think that's who he said he was talking to. It was Tiffany. So you can't gaslight people. That is abuse. That's like psychological, abuse. And I'm glad that on the reunion he found out what gaslight means because he doesn't need to do that. I mean, the fact that he didn't understand that term as much as it's being used today, that's kind of incredible. But with David, I can kind of see that. And I'm glad he got educated so that he could stop, doing that. And Madison abused Alan because she knew that man wanted a relationship to work with her. And she knew that even if she wasn't interested in David, she still wasn't interested in being in a relationship with Alan. So, and she should have told him that. And just been flat out instead of talking about she was trying. She was not trying any more than Michelle did. So, I don't know where Madison is and how she feels she and Michelle relate to each other. Those are just some thoughts that came to my head. So the difference between David and Michelle is David knows that his lie caused the problem. there was already going to be a problem because he liked Madison. He compounded the problem when he started lying about it. And you can't do that. Because then people, when you need people to believe you, then they won't believe you. Because then they'll think that you're doing it for your own interest and not for the interest of just being truthful. So the truth is very delicate. We're not supposed to be playing around with it because it can backfire on you, when you really need somebody to believe you. So, and I appreciate that he knows he effed up. Those were his words, not mine. And so, but Michelle, she just now, according to her, she's just now figured that out. I guess looking back at the show. So my thing is, why didn't she, number one, apologize to him in public at the reunion and in front of everybody? Because she did all of her stuff. She blew up the entire retreat because she wanted people to understand her problem, with how her feelings and what suspicions and stuff, she had. These are just suspicions. She blew up the entire retreat based on her suspicions. Okay? So why can't you come with that same energy when it's time for you to expose yourself? So I remember Madison said they had a clip of her back during the season where she was mad because she felt like, this is what I got from it, that she felt like Michelle blew up her spot. And she asked her, well, why couldn't you just talk to me about it off camera? And Michelle said, we on a reality TV show, Madison. I'm going to have to clip that one too, just to make the point. Because if we're on a reality TV show, Michelle, and all of the dirt has been aired in front of the group and everybody, then you should have did that. You should have gave David the respect of apologizing in front of the group and everybody. It's like being naked. You don't get to have no clothes on. You got to expose yourself the same way that you exposed him in full public. So, and a lot of people there are upset because David and Madison are happy. I'm not upset. When I first suspected that it was them, I actually felt some kind of way about it too. But the longer Michelle acted crazy, the less I held on to any trepidations about whether it's right or wrong. Because this man did not deserve to be talked to like that. And I think one reason why people like Michelle are able to get away with it is because David can't articulate his thoughts clearly on the fly. He gets, because he couldn't even do it when he was talking to Kevin Frazier, and that wasn't an antagonistic conversation. That was just a regular let's talk conversation. He still couldn't come up, with his own defense. I could defend him better than he could, and I don't even that makes absolutely no sense because he was there. He know what he wrote. He even put it in the coffee. So they weren't, according to him, doing anything. Then why would he be able to defend himself on that? So anyway, the point I'm trying to make is he and Madison, Michelle and Alan, went into this experiment. And Juan and Karla. Juan and Michelle looked at this like an experiment. They didn't look at it as a marriage. Madison, Alan, and David went into it looking for a marriage. I think did too. And Ikechi, I don't know what he thought he was looking for. I think that they are right when they said that he's looking for a unicorn. So I don't even think he keeps talking about he's looking for Michelle Obama. If he had Michelle Obama, I think that he would still have a problem with her. I mean, I think Barack has plenty of problems with Michelle. So he's kind of romanticized Michelle Obama in his head that I don't think is fair. That's not fair, Ikechi. And that's the unicorn that he's chasing behind, the rainbow. Don Quixote, he chasing windmills. He think that he's, a hero in his mind, and he's, really attacking windmills, something that can't fight him back and that is no threat to him or anybody else. But in his mind, this is what he sees. And that's what I see with Michelle. In her mind, she's been victimized, and she doesn't want to take responsibility for how this whole thing got to the situation. She played a part in this story. And I hope that as she continues to, have this in her face, it's something that she actually will come to tell that other part of the truth. She's only told half of it. She needs to accept the other half, that she messed up. And she didn't give this marriage an opportunity. Juan didn't give his marriage an opportunity either. He came looking at it as, well, okay, if they hook me up with somebody I like, then, that's good. But, if I don't like her, then I'm just going to, opt out at the end of 8 weeks. That's supposed to be like a parachute. That's not supposed to be when you're in a decent plane and the plane can get you to your destination and you're not even willing to take the ride seriously. And that's the thing. Marriage is a serious endeavor. It is nothing to be taken lightly. It's deeper than just a surface level experiment. And so I was disappointed in Juan before, because I saw him not understanding that Karla could be a balance, for him. I'm even more disappointed in him since this other stuff came out. And when I finish talking about David and Michelle, I'll spend the other time, I guess, talking about Juan. So I'm at 12 minutes, okay? So David left with the wife. Madison left with the husband. Alan left out in the cold. Michelle doesn't have a husband. And it's really a fundamental flaw. Alan's is a superficial flaw. He can dress better and he can get corrections on his teeth. And he could do something with, his jokes and stuff. He actually said that he gained more perspective, about himself, which is very important. And I hope he's able to parlay that into something successful, later. But Michelle, hers came from the core. And I'm telling you, being infected with the kind of spirit that Michelle has is it's toxic. I have it. That's why I know who she is. I can see, and that's why I would have been able to get back with her. There is absolutely no way on this side of life that I'm going to let anybody like Michelle talk to me the way she talked to David. That show would have been over. It would have been over. So anyway, Michelle, she treated it like an experiment too. I mean, if you go back, because somebody brought this up in the comments, which I really appreciate. They said that she was looking for a ride or die. Because that's what she said. If you go back and look at when she was being interviewed, and this is Michelle, she said that she wanted a light-skinned black man, and she wanted to be the ride or die. And she got what she asked for. She even got one with good hair. And she did not know what to do with him when he showed up. And she just completely checked out of the whole marriage. There was no vows, no nothing. All that stuff just went flying straight out of the window. The moment that there was any hint of an obstacle, the wedding vows say, for better or worse, for rich or for poor, in sickness and in health. That means through good times and bad times, Michelle. And look at Madison. It's the same dude living in the same house. Madison has found something valuable in him. and they're making it work up to this point. That's something that she could have at least gave the opportunity. She didn't even suit up. I mean, time. She was ready to take that wedding dress off and go back home with her friends and go hang out at the bar and go to wherever it is that she was going to. She wanted out of that marriage immediately. And that's not marriage. So for everybody out here who's jumping up and down talking about, well, they married. You can't cheat. That's infidelity. How is it infidelity when she checked out the moment she heard something come out of his mouth that she didn't like? So she's the opposite of MM, who sat up and listened to all the craziness coming out of Casey's mouth and didn't move. Didn't move a muscle. Sat there and kept trying and kept trying and kept trying. That's somebody who's serious about being married. And everybody was telling her, that she was crazy for wanting to try that hard. But she was serious about being married. So I try to see things from both sides. Because in my experience, the more objective I can see and understand, I'm not just talking about see it, I mean really understand it, I think it gives you opportunity to make better decisions. And so I'm 54. I've lived a little bit. And I understand how life can happen, to people. And when I was watching it, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm like Karla when she was on the after party. How do you know how you're going to react when somebody is abusing you? When they're talking to you in a way that's disrespectful? When they're saying things that, oh, well, you live with your parents. You want your mommy to do everything for you. He's not good enough because his finances, aren't good enough. There's nobody watching this show that will allow somebody to tell them that they don't want to be with them because they don't make enough money. That's not what you say to somebody. And that's what she said. That's one of the most rude things that you could ever say to another person. She had other stuff that she could have said that would have been legitimate. But she didn't. She focused too much on the money. And that's shallow. That's really shallow thinking. And you know what? I bet you 99% of them jokers are Christian. And they have no idea what Jesus says about money. And they don't understand anything that he did inside of the Gospels. That's another reason why I can see exactly what they are. And this is the danger. This is what I have written down here. This is one of the few times I've written notes this season. But this is very important. Because if we lack critical thinking in society, we're not going to make it. You've got to be able to see things from both sides. There are people that don't believe in Jesus. They don't live their lives according to the way that you think that Jesus is for you. You're supposed to be obedient to the Lord. You're supposed to make a decision to walk with him. You can't force what you're learning and your walk with him on to other people that don't believe in him. Not saying that David and Madison don't. I don't know. I'm just giving another example of how Christians don't understand the world that they're living in. People don't care about your religion. The religion is for you. People are going to make their own decisions about how they're going to live. You do it all the time in your life too. You out here doing stuff that you have absolutely no business doing. But you make the independent decision to do it anyway. Same way when I use profanity. I know I'm not supposed to use profanity, but I do it anyway. I get to somewhere in my head and I'm like, okay, I have to express this. I'm trying to stop, but pray. Ask the Lord, to work on me so that I don't, use profanity anymore. See how that works? I really do hope that Michelle comes full circle with this. And I'm not going to stop until I hear her. She reminds me of Alyssa. I'm really a good person. I'm really a good person. Okay, Michelle. But yeah, so looking at this show is like a microcosm or a snapshot of where we are in society because we can't see both sides of the situation. Take the Republicans and the Democrats, the Hatfields and the McCoys. They couldn't understand the other's position because their position was the only position that was important. If they could understand where the other person was coming from, they actually might be able to find out that they have a lot more in common than they thought that they did. Democrats and Republicans have a lot in common. If you look at Washington, they all love money. Them jokers actually get along with each other. They act like they fight with each other for us, but they are up there doing the same thing. The same people are scratching the backs of the Democrats and the Republicans. Look at Trump. Trump said that he gave to both of them. He gave the politically to both parties. So the people don't know how to do that. They don't know how to take their common interests, like work rights. You know, they sit up and believe the people with the money should dictate the rights of workers, when it's backwards. The workers should have equal say in how they're going to be treated and what they need in order to be able for it to be equal environment. You giving up your time to make them rich, then they break you off some of what they make for the time and effort that you put in to help make them rich. And them jokers so greedy, they don't even want to do that no more. And so they running us off a cliff. Just crazy. It's the same thing. People who are with Michelle dogmatically, they're so mad that they're mad that I'm mad about it. Why are you mad that I'm mad about it? This woman abused this man. And the fact that you're not as affected by that, the fact that you are able to say it's okay for this because he lied to her, that it's okay for her abuse. I mean, she abused him before he lied to her. It didn't come, y'all got it backwards. It's cause and effect. There's this thing called a catalyst. A catalyst is something that speeds up the chemical process. And I had to actually look it up because I actually grew up thinking that salt was a catalyst, and it's not. But you know what it does do is a catalyst for? Erosion. And what happens is when something is a catalyst, it also, the other property of a catalyst is that it doesn't destroy itself in the process of deteriorating said thing. So you look at Michelle like she's salt, and she was eroding David. I am really mad with David. If I had to be angry with him, it's because he stayed there and took that mess from her. I have a problem with that. I do understand that he really wanted to be married. Even if I wanted to be married, I'm glad that I have the wherewithal to know I don't want to be married enough to take abuse. So you have to always put that in there, because then you're leaving yourself in a dangerous situation because you're married. There has to be some kind of parachute. That's the parachute. That's when you put it on and you're like, okay, I got to get out of here because I'm in a dangerous situation. You see? And I didn't see that for Juan. I didn't see him in a dangerous, situation. So, looking at him, now I'm kind of thinking about this mess. Where am I? I'm at 24 minutes. Now I'm kind of thinking about this mess that he's in with Karla. And apparently, when they were getting married, there was some erroneous information that had been given to her. And production found out, and they made him go correct the information with her. And he said that he gave her the opportunity that if, after finding out the correct information, he gave her the opportunity to say that she didn't want to get married. And she said no, that she was cool, that she would get married. Now somebody is bringing up that subject to him, and he thinks that because that subject was brought up that it came from Karla. It couldn't have came from anybody else that it came from Karla. Production was there too. So I don't know if Karla did it or not. But she says that she didn't. So we've got a situation. But anyway, Juan knew that Karla knew something about him that was not him in a positive light. The fact that he thinks he gets to take the things that where she's not in a positive light and actually put that stuff on the table. This is stuff he's just talking about. You know, he's not saying that her breasts were too small and she was too slender, you know, for him. He's implying it, though. He's implying that she wasn't good with her money. He's implying that she didn't clean, you know, and stuff around the house. He's implying, you know, all these deal breakers when Karla gave him grace on what he did. I mean, out the gate, she gave him grace. So where is this grace that he gave to her? Is him staying in the experiment with that? Was that what he considered, you know, to be his grace? When he should have been focused on marriage. And I just think it's rich that whatever it was that he said to her was so bad that he has to keep it a secret. And he's mad because he thinks that she's threatening, blackmailing him to expose the secret. Then why wouldn't you treat her better, Juan? Why wouldn't you give her more respect? Why would you come on here and say the things that you've said about her unnecessarily? That doesn't sound like a smart businessman. That doesn't sound like someone who has knowledge of human, you know, relationships, because he understands what David did and he articulated himself really clearly. He did good on the honeymoon when he was talking to the couples and made, you know, suggestions and stuff. And so he's able to kind of see the dynamics of humanity, but he missed that. Why couldn't he take some of that and give it to Karla? And then they would have, this could have been a whole totally, you know, different situation. So I don't know. I just didn't think that that was smart, Juan, to anger her. And now what if Juancho's Ponchos can't be the product that it could have been if you had shifted your thinking, you know, some. These are consequences. And I'm really even more disappointed, you know, in Juan. So they talked to Camille and Thomas, and that was interesting. Some people think that they're not going to last because Thomas was questioning the passion. He was talking to his brother and he was trying to figure out, do they have like passion? Some relationships don't have passion, Thomas. And you're going to have to ask yourself if passion is a unicorn for you. Because, I don't know, have you had passionate relationships in the past and they didn't work because did they fizzle out? Or do you want something, a flame that's slow and steady, but is ever present? So these are questions that I hope that he asks himself on a serious level. And same thing, you know, with Camille. Because it's hard out here to find people that you trust and that you can connect with. And they've been given a special opportunity, and I hope that they take it seriously. Ikechi, he seemed to understand that the guys are not against him, that MM has moved on. Nobody's harboring any resentment or anything towards him, so now he feels more comfortable. And the guys came and supported him at one of his events. And so he was telling his mom that, and he was saying earlier that he doesn't have a lot of friends, you know, in Chicago, which is kind of crazy because you wanted to get married, but you don't even have a friendship network in the city. I think that's kind of backwards. But he went to a lawyer and wanted to get some information about how the process, you know, goes. I think production kind of helps them out with that. I think that's what Karla was saying with her and Juan's, thing, because he was contacting her about that, and she said, "Well, when production contacts us, then that's when we can talk." Or she said, "You can talk to my lawyer," but she said, "You don't have to keep calling me or texting me, about it. When we'll just let them deal with it, and then when the time comes for us to talk, then we can talk." So, who else? Oh, David and Madison. I like that they are friends with Thomas and Camille. Thomas cheated too in his 9-year relationship. So I would think that it would be kind of difficult for him to judge David when he did it. And then Camille actually didn't judge Thomas for cheating, because she found that out at the reception, and she didn't judge him for that. She didn't even talk about it. He actually talked about it, more than she did. So I can see why they wouldn't have, judgment against David and Madison. And Madison was saying that they see both sides, of the situation, and they have never mistreated them or given them any kind of negativity other than, to, let them know how they felt, about it. Because Thomas was like, "I gotta hold you accountable because you lying to everybody. You lying to me. I'm up, I'm just trying to defend you, and you lying." So that was something that I wanted to say. So yeah, this is an interesting season of Married at First Sight, and I'm glad that it's over. I still haven't decided if I'm going to do another season. I think I'm gonna play around with Peacock and kind of see how that works, because I don't even know if they'll let me upload anything. So I have to see if they give me copyright and stuff, about it. So, is that it? But I will announce it. I'll put it up on the post it. I'll post it whenever I let y'all know, whenever I decide whether I'm going to do it or not. And I think that's it. Thank you for everybody who's hung in there with me. And I appreciate you. And I'll see you guys possibly on the next season. Take care.